Morning to you. Today is Thursday, the 2nd of July, 2026. My name is Francisco Gaffney, and this is my daily streaming all about governance, risk, compliance, and advisory boards. Yesterday, we talked about predictability and the money question behind growth, right? And today is about systems. So if we go at the bottom of the advisory board operating model that we have in the screen here, this is the section at the bottom of it. So let's highlight that section right away. This is about your system controls and resilience, and it's related to assets, GRC, and performance. Now, when we talk about systems, you might be surprised. I'm not talking about IT, specifically software or hardware. We are talking about something slightly different. And because it's how I can put this, the assets are things inside the business that create value, right? So the governance, risk, and compliance is one thing that decides what can go wrong and what must be done properly. The performance is whether the business is working as expected. And when those three are connected, the business becomes easier to trust. But when they are separate, the pressure starts to build. So these are a model of a system, right? So your assets, so the things that have to perform, can be tangible or intangible, your governance, risk, and compliance, and your performance. So there you have a system of will be workflows, operation procedures, documenting, evidencing, etc., and where the legislation also is impacting the business and how you have to put these things into place. For example, risks. If you are a company that need health and safety or fire, all simple risks like fire alarms, the exit doors, etc. Now, I'm simplifying this, but actually in the complexity of the businesses, let's take a look at three problems that actually come from the lack of systems. And the problem number one is that the business mistakes senior intervention for controls. So people think that actually they are micromanaging them, right? And this can happen at any level in the organization. So founders fix things, the CEO chases decisions, the CFO spots problems late and pulls reports together. So everyone says the business is under control, but what they really mean is that the good people are catching problems before they fall, right? So what that means, actually, a good friend of mine always said, actually, nobody wakes up in the morning looking to fail. So this is a problem when the people think that they are micromanaged, because they assume, they say, well, we are not coming here to do a bad job, but I feel under a lot of pressure because actually everybody seems to be controlling me, what I do, what I should be doing, or highlighting mistakes when the body of work is absolutely fantastic, right? So that is a big problem in any organization. Problem number two is that it's unclear responsibilities create hidden strains, right? So people are busy, but not always clear, meaning that actually decisions move slowly because nobody knows who owns the final call or who is responsible for what work gets approved too many times or by the wrong people. Right? Don't tell me you've never been in that place where seemingly the approvers know less or have no a clear understanding of what they are approving, but they are approvers. And also the other thing that happens is that teams coordinate by chasing, not by design. So you pretty much start a project and people start to organize themselves and then go to a next project and they reorganize themselves based on the project. So there's not a template of a body of work or operational procedure to do the things to a standard of quality, security, or documenting and evidencing what the things are done, so you can learn what have been done, where you're today, what is coming next, and have a mechanism of feedback to improve that every single time. Now, problem number three is that risk lives in people's heads. Cybersecurity, suppliers, clients, contracts, delivery, compliance, data. Somebody or someone knows about each issue, but the knowledge is scattered. Spreadsheets, emails, binders, like the ones I have behind me. But where is that knowledge where the company can put that together and address it? So that means the businesses has awareness, because people have this awareness, but not always a control of that awareness or those risks. So in other words, imagine that some leaders think that resilience is having a fire extinguisher nearby, but really, or the real resilience is building a kitchen where fires are less likely to start because you have all the measurements in place. It's all built according to standards with fire retardants, etc. So fire extinguishers, great. Also build the place where it's have all the security measures to avoid fires, even if you are using the facilities to extremes. So, as a board advisor, what I would propose to consider is the following. Use the advisory board to turn personal rescue into an operating discipline, right? So start on the left of or the right-hand side of the model with your assets and ask a few questions. Which work creates value? Which work drains capacity, right? So which process exists because nobody has had time to simplify it? Which task should be killed, automated, or redesigned? And then moving to the center of the model, to the governance, risk, and compliance, and ask a few questions. Who owns the risk? Who sees the risk earlier or the warning signs, right? And how they report and how they escalate the issues. Who can escalate this, as I mentioned? Which controls are real and which are just habits? So sometimes the controls are something that somebody put in place, but really have no meaning and no real addressing those risks. It's just there, but actually you don't know why they are there. And finally, look into performance, which is the far left of the company. And remember, performance is how the company do the things it's supposed to do. So where does delivery slow down, for example, right? So where are handovers weak? Like if you have a production line or service system, where's the onboarding, where's the training, where's the capacity, where's the delivery, who measured that? Where, and for example, where errors repeat. Yeah, is somebody checking what errors are repeating and how to address them? Where are people using manual workarounds because the system is not good enough? And then the problem with workarounds is that it's normalized and then it's passed over to the next person in a week onboarding. So these bodies that you have in the companies, guess what? You go to induction training, you go to onboarding, and then you have a body. And tell me if you've been in that situation before. And what happens? Your body is telling you, say, oh yeah, forget about that. This is the way we do things here. And neglected all the effort, the time and money invested in onboarding and inducting somebody into the organization. And that is a very serious issue because sometimes these induction trainers onboarding, or they are bad designed, or they are not working properly, or they are there without a very the purpose where they serve. Right? So then the people then start to do workarounds because the induction and trainings or onboardings are not satisfying the requirements. Now, this is the system lens. Hopefully I give you a little bit of color of how the challenges are and how to address them. So in terms of assets, governance, risk, compliance, and performance, the advisory board helps because internal teams often normalize the pain. And as I mentioned earlier, you have your inductions, your onboardings, and then the body is telling you, oh, forget about that. This is the way that we do things here. So they get used to late reporting, for example, or messy approval. So 3 people checking something because nobody trusts the first version. So, and this is heroic efforts. Yeah, but heroic efforts is not a control model. It's just pretty much an effort. It's not something that should be flowing correctly and seamlessly across the organization to serve a purpose. So a good advisory board can ask sharper questions without blaming anybody. So it sounds like the business is successful but tired, for example. Or it seems like the control exists, but too many, but too much depends on personal vigilance, right? So you have a manager that is micromanaging everything. So, or it feels like the operating model is asking people to carry what the system should carry, meaning why you're doing all these things when supposedly the CRM should be doing these activities. And this is a big one because sometimes when you are working with the CRM, there is a regulator, it's a requirement for the company, but it's only used for reporting, not really used to operate as a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool, right? So CRM is pretty much a big database where you can do things but not used properly, and that is a normalization of the bad use of the tools and capacities of the company. So these might be useful for observations. You say, yeah, right. But the fix is not more bureaucracy, right? You're not looking for more work to get the same results. The fix is a better design. So a clear ownership, a cleaner escalation, a fewer pointless approvals, a better reporting rhythm, frictionless audits, a control ownership map to real decisions, right? So as a simple rule, if you may, if a process needs constant senior rescue, it is not yet resilient. That's a reality. Now, what do you gain working with me? Three things: business outcomes, differentiators, and risk reductions. The outcome or the business outcome is a delivery discipline. The business moves from founder dependent firefighting or managing or directors firefighting to a clearer controls and cleaner performance. In terms of differentiating, is a rotating international advisory board built around the system's milestone. And remember, the systems are your assets, your governance, risk, compliance, and your performances. You get audit risk, cyber controls, operational performance expertise faster than by hiring one executive, which lower overhead than a big consulting firms and no talent locked in. And in terms of risk reduction, is the operational fragility. We reduce that. If risk is hidden in people's heads, the business is exposed. If controls are embedded into the operating rhythm, the business becomes easier to govern and easier to trust. So, one action you can take today home and is doable in 30 minutes or less. Let me show you our classic grills of exercises. I think that this is becoming much easier to understand what is doable very fast in your organization. So this is an easy one. Ask your team to list every recurring process that requires more than 3 approvals, right? Then mark each one as one of two things: reduce real risk or hide weak decision design. This is very hard to do because people feel that they need to do those approvals because it's normalized the process. It's not because it's required or may add any real value to the organization. So once you have this conversation with your teams and your approvers, that will show you where the system needs to work. Is an asset issue, is a governance risk compliance issue, or is a performance issue. But here, without blaming anybody, without pointing fingers, you start to understand where the efficiencies of those approvals that reduce risk or hide weak decisions are start to surface in organization to make it more resilient. So let's pause it here for today and reconvene tomorrow, because tomorrow we move into the left side of the model, which is edge, which is transformation, your innovation, to make your company relevant to the current market and the future. So once the business tightens the controls, the next dangers appears. The same systems that create a reliability can become tomorrow's bottlenecks. So we are going to avoid that too. And to do that, we have to do it with the innovation and the transformation of the organization. Now, if you're leading a company with 50 employees or more than 10 million revenue, and you need a stronger control, a better resilience, and a less senior rescue, let's have a 30-minute chat. So I would love to understand where you're coming from, where you are today, where you would like to go, so we can design an advisory board that brings 24% revenue increases and 18% more productivity, with a faster implementation than hiring one executive, a lower overhead than a big consulting firm, no talent locked in, and swappable members every 6 months. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you, and bye.